Hey, welcome back to part 3 of Sewing My Dream Spring Wardrobe for 2026. We've done soft gothic comfy dress, we've done accidental clown pants, and today we are doing Vivienne Westwood. Specifically this €590 blouse. And to make this, I am using a €2 thrifted bedsheet. And for this project, I'm putting a big 4 pattern, specifically McCall's, against an indie pattern that's possibly AI generated. So let's get started with the McCall's pattern. Let's see how that goes. So we have a rocky start because this pattern comes in 2 pieces, and for the second piece, what I'm showing right now, 20 pages after removing the unnecessary ones. And that's just for the collar, for short sleeves and some straps. Insane. So after powering through the insane amount of pages, I think in total I printed like 70 pages or something insane like that. And that was after removing the unnecessary ones. It's on to the cutting of the fabric. This is an old bedsheet that I still had. I think I used the other half of it for the clown pants. And then it's on to the sewing. This pattern has got darts. They were pretty well explained, wasn't a big deal. It was pretty easy to sew everything together in the beginning. The pattern has ruffling on the side. I decided to change that and use pleating instead of ruffling because it looks more structured and more like something that Vivienne Westwood would do for a blouse. It looks more intentional. And then it was on to the collar, and this is where it started to fall apart. You can see me trying it on the dress form and pinning things together, and that was because I couldn't get it to fit properly. Somehow a lot of the notches didn't fit together well. I don't know where it went wrong, but it definitely went wrong, and I ended up with a really big gap between the collar and the lapel or lapel, and I couldn't fix it. I measured everything and they were the same size as the pattern pieces, so I don't think the issue is with me, but with the pattern. I could be wrong, I could have messed up somewhere, but I don't think I did. Okay, I'm gonna stop it right here because this isn't going anywhere. Let's just say that you saw what the pattern layout was like. That just kind of set the tone. And when I started sewing, I had made some alterations. I was like, still had good hope, you know. I started sewing, everything went well, and then, the collar, I'm pretty sure there were just steps missing. Could also be me being a not very experienced sewist, but it was very frustrating, and I decided to stop it here after 3 days. And then, because initially I wasn't planning on making the indie pattern, because it has been flagged as possibly AI, and it did have 2 very bad reviews on Etsy. I was in this. I wanted to make this blouse so bad that I was willing to risk it. See for yourself. Let's go. I used a really old sheet for this that was falling apart as I was sewing it. I got some tears in it, but I knew I needed to make a mock-up. I didn't make it completely, I didn't do any lighting, that kind of thing. I just put together the main pieces. I kind of basted everything together so that it could come together much quicker. And then my mock-up was finished, and yeah, it was too big. So and then I pinned everything. I took it in on the side and across the chest. At first I wanted to do a dart, but I don't think that would look right. So it just went straight across the chest. I took it apart, I ironed it, and then I traced it onto another piece, and I sewed that together again. And to my surprise, it fit really well. So with that out of the way, I was kind of nervous to start on the real blouse. I used an old sheet for this, so if it didn't work out, I paid like €2 for it. It wouldn't be a huge waste of money and fabric, just time. I still wasn't entirely sure about the bodice fitting right, especially at the armpits, because I wasn't sure how to make the alteration at the armpits so that everything still fits. So I kind of overlaid the original pattern and drew that on as well and made a more general version of it and then adjusted that later as I was sewing. Yeah, everything was just really straightforward with this pattern. Nothing was overcomplicated. Etta has a really good video tutorial on how to make this blouse, where she explains everything step by step, and it was really easy to follow this along. She also has written instructions, but my brain doesn't like written instructions as much as it likes videos. And then we're just sewing everything together. I can explain it step by step, but it's not crazy complicated. It's quite a bit of fabric. I think she recommends using 2 meters of fabric, which is, I think, quite a lot for a blouse, but it is lined for the most part, except for the back. I kind of enjoy seeing how my thread is running out. It kind of adds to the suspense. But yeah, I finished my thread on this project and I got to hook up a new bad boy. The inside lining, together with part of the collar, is hand stitched. And I don't know if you guys have been following the Lego drama, but yeah, I watched all of it while hand sewing. It took me quite a while, but I am entirely up to date. The last part of the puzzle are the sleeves. They weren't difficult to make either. I'm just not a huge fan of the design choice for the cuffs, but it looks quite alright. It was also kind of finicky to do the cuffs, but it worked. I'm not sure if I did it right because it was so finicky. And here I'm just attaching the sleeves to the bodice, and then we are on to the final 2 steps, and that is adding buttonholes and buttons. And I have a really old sewing machine. It doesn't have an automatic buttonhole maker, so you have to do everything in steps. And I can't put a button in so that you get the right size and everything, so I measured everything meticulously, and it doesn't make the best buttonholes. Unfortunately, I wish it would make better buttonholes, but this is what I'm working with. And the buttonholes didn't turn out great, but they turned out good enough. One thing I did mess up was the buttons. I measured from the middle of the buttonholes, and that was a mistake because of course they slide to the end. So I should have measured from the end of the buttonholes. So now it doesn't fit as tailored as I would have done that, but I couldn't really be bothered to fix that at the moment. I will do that in the future, but not right now. But do keep that in mind. It should be a little bit more tailored than it is right now. That's just my own fault. Now, did this turn out perfect? No. Did I make some mistakes? Absolutely. Was this pattern better than expected? Yes. 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 And I am just so incredibly happy with the end product. This is absolutely a dream blouse for me. It's not identical to the original, but it's so close, and it just looks very high end, at least to me. I'm so happy that I spent the time to try and make this pattern. She warns her customers about the skill needed and the fact that you need to be able to make adjustments and that you need to make a mock-up first. So I don't think the negative reviews are very warranted. Yeah, sure, it was way too big, but if you make a mock-up and you know how to adjust the pattern to your size, then it's not a problem. I don't know how to make pattern adjustments so that it fits my size, but I did it anyway and it turned out pretty good. So yeah, I can recommend this pattern. I don't think it's AI. I think it's pretty well drafted and it makes a lot more sense than the Big Four pattern, than the McCall's pattern. The video tutorial makes it really clear, and there's only, yeah, I would only say that I didn't really like the way the sleeves were finished. But when I look at the stock images of the original of the Monday blouse, the sleeves don't look finished at all. Like they're just folded over and I don't see a seam or anything. But I think if I would make this again, I would make it with a different cuff. The sleeves are really quite long, even on me, and I have a pretty impressive ape index. My arms are longer than they should be, and I am not the shortest person. I'm 5'10" or 178. But if you're shorter or you have shorter arms or your ape index isn't very apey, then you definitely need to make it shorter. But it's not the worst adjustment you would have to make. So my final verdict is I wouldn't bother with the McCall pattern. Even if the issues with the pattern are on me, I think the construction has been overly complicated in a way that it's completely unnecessary, especially when you look at the Etta pattern. That one is just, it makes sense. It's not overly complicated. The Etta one is very well drafted. You don't have unnecessary steps to it, and you do get a really lovely end product if you know how to make the adjustments. And if I can make the adjustments, I'm pretty sure that you can make the adjustments as well. I do follow her on Instagram, and I have noticed her posting reels about adjusting patterns to your measurements, but I haven't watched them either. But I think like if you spend some time to try and follow a tutorial on that, that you will get a really great result as well. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you liked this video. If you do, please leave a like and perhaps a comment, maybe even subscribe if you feel really generous today. I love reading your comments. You guys are so nice and you have great ideas as well. I want to do a video on that in the future because, like I said, you guys have great ideas and I think that could be great fun. Okay, well, it's time for me to leave you guys. Okay, bye!